happening?
First of all, before we get into anything else, any other discussion here, I just wanna talk about Mills Lane. We just lost a good man, one of the
Yeah.
best referees, if not the best referee I've ever seen in boxing.
Yes, sir. Good. He was the guy. He was like, in a lot of ways, he was the face of wrestling of referees. He was the guy. Everybody knew. Let's get it on. You know.
That's right. That's right. Um, I think a lot of casual fans remember him for the Mike Tyson Holyfield fight.
Right, right. Well, he was one thing about that. He was a no nonsense ref. He was a tough little guy. And at one point, Tyson said something to him. I forget what it was, and he said, bull spit. He told Tyson, knock it off. It was cool.
I remember that. I was laughing because
Yeah.
so many of us fear Mike Tyson, but
Right. Yeah, no, not that little dude.
yeah, but yeah, it's sad. I just I sent a message out to his family, to Terry Lane. So
Right.
yeah,
Cool, cool. Yes, sir.
but I missed Beterbiev Yarde press conference. I just wanted to get your thoughts on how that went. What exactly happened? All I just saw was Beterbiev punching some table there.
Yeah, well, that's all I saw, and really knowing Arthur and just looking at the video, uh, I thought Arthur was joking. I thought Arthur was just kind of being funny, like, he had to do something for the camera, so he did that. I didn't think Arthur was trying to be confrontational or anything like that.
Did Yarde say anything to him?
Uh, Not, I mean, I'm sure he did. Like I said, I only saw that part. It didn't. I'll tell you what, knowing Arthur, I don't think Yarde said anything to him. Certainly not anything aggressive, because if he did, Arthur would not joke around at all. Like it would have been a much different video, So I don't think Arthur. I got the impression. I think Yarde was probably cordial. I know. I think people sense with Arthur, especially when you're in his presence, you don't want to annoy this guy. You don't want to get this guy, for no reason. You don't want to just get him upset with you. So I think maybe with other fighters, Yarde might have been a little more in the face, but I think he knew not to play around with Arthur. That's my feeling.
Yeah. Everyone keeps talking about this fight, saying that it's a mismatch because everyone's like, Beterbiev is a killer.
Right.
Yarde got himself into a mess.
Right. But the thing is, see, you can't do that. You can't. And in my, from my view, I'll make sure. But Arthur could fight your grandmother, and he's going to be ready to kill. He's not going to take it easy. There's no such thing with him. So I don't worry about that. But, too many times people make a mistake, as even people within their camps, in fighters' camps, make a mistake where they try and convince their fighter that the guy they're fighting isn't that good and he doesn't have that much to worry about. I don't do that. I tell my guys, listen, the guy you're fighting is a beast. You understand? You got to get ready to face the beast. You can't say, oh, the guy's not that good, because then if you win, who did you beat? You beat a guy that you just got done for 6 weeks telling me was nothing. And also, what did you beat? A low quality guy. Where's the joy and the glory in that? I make sure my guys know, listen, you're fighting a guy. If you beat him, you're going to have done something, because this guy can fight, and you better step your game up this fight, and you be ready to fight as well, because you're going to need to beat him. So I don't. When people tell me, "Oh, Yarde's in over his head, he's going to get crushed," maybe so, but if you're trying to get me to be of the mindset that don't worry about it, it's no problem, that's a recipe for disaster. There's no way we're going to go in this fight like he's going to be at his absolute best. He's King Kong, he's a killer, and we'll take it from there.
Well, yeah, I think that's the right way to think, because
Of course.
we've seen a lot of upsets in the past where, of
Right.
course, one of the biggest, if not the biggest upset, was Iron Mike Tyson at the time, when losing to James Buster Douglas.
Right. Yeah, you can't, I don't know what it was like in that camp. Uh, I would imagine something along those lines. But back then we didn't have the internet. Now we have the internet, where fighters are on the internet reading about how great they are and how they're going to have, like I say, everybody's saying, it's a mismatch, Arthur's going to kill him. I said, listen, I won't have to say anything to Arthur, but other fighters, I would have to tell them, don't listen to that. Don't, the guy's here for a reason. He has the record he has for a reason. He's got a lot of knockouts. I don't care who he knocked out. If he knocked out his grandmother, she went. So you gotta respect that. And after you beat him, you could say, I beat him, he was nothing. But you still got to get ready and to fight the best possible guy.
Yeah, but actually, there was one or two guys that said to me, "Oh, well, Yarde just knocked out Koikov, so Beterbiev better be careful."
Yeah.
I just laughed. I just laughed because Koikov ain't Beterbiev.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like I say, fighting Arthur is a little bit different than fighting other people, But like I say, he's going to be ready. Arthur treats everyone the same. It's not like he trains harder to fight somebody, like Joe Smith or something. He trains the same no matter who he fights. He's always in that mindset of, I've got to be prepared. You will never see Arthur unprepared.
And since you mentioned Joe Smith Jr., I thought that fight was going to go longer. That was quick.
Yeah.
Joe Smith Jr.'s he's also a strong guy. He's a strong fighter.
Right. Well, going into that fight, I respected Joe. I know he's really gutsy and he's going to bring it. And that was it's funny, that was his best attribute. And it turned out to be his worst, because I said, he's going to bring it. He's not going to be scared. He's going to come to fight. And that's why he's going to go quick, because he's going to come to Arthur. He's going to try and match strength, and Arthur's going to overpower him. And, he did. I respect him because he tried to do the job, but he met somebody who was him and more.
That's actually what Mark Ramsey said before that fight. He said both guys are going to go head on.
Right. Yeah, and that's what happened.
But there's a lot to talk about, man. I mean, this fight is big. Like, I can't wait for this fight to happen. But then again, some guys are saying that it's all talks. These guys are not going to end up fighting because of the boxing politics. Something's going to happen, and this fight won't happen at the end. What do you think? You think something might happen, like, to get in the way? Someone might get in the way?
Well, I lost you there for a second. Something might happen with which fight?
Beterbiev Bivol. I was going to say Beterbiev Bivol, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm skeptical to a degree. I would think they would want to try and do the Canelo rematch, and yeah, I feel I'm not super confident that that's the next fight. But it's at the point where if they don't fight Arthur, it'll be very obvious why. And it would, in a crazy way, it would be a compliment it would shine a light on Arthur, because by not getting the fight, people would know why he wasn't getting the fight, and he would get that much more of a, a reputation because of it. Like he would be conspicuous by his absence in the big fight.
In regards to Bivol and Canelo, like, I just don't like the fact that if that rematch happens, Bivol might have to go down and wait, and I don't think that's a good idea. I think Bivol should take this Beterbiev fight instead of a Canelo rematch.
Yeah. Well, from their standpoint, obviously money talks. It's a lot more money. It's a big, big fight, big stage. But I'm not a fan of, making a guy go down and wait, and, all these different stipulations, and, whatever happens. And we can't, a guy will say, okay, we can fight. It's like when a guy will say, all right, I'll fight you, but you have to weigh in the morning after the fight. And if you're over a certain weight, that's you telling me, you can't beat me under normal circumstances, and you need to have me do something to impair myself so I can lose, and then you can brag about beating me, which is insane, And I always point out, I always remember Roberto Duran, who is a small man. If you've ever met Roberto Duran, he is a little dude. He was a 135-pound lightweight. He ended up fighting Iran Barkley at 160. There was not a catch weight. He fought head up with Iran, and, tough, bang. He said Iran hit like a ton of bricks, and he's a former lightweight. He didn't do all that nonsense with the same day, you got to weigh in and you can't weigh more and all that stuff. So I respect that. I respect anyone who's willing to face the guy, under the circumstances that you're supposed to.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think honestly, I just think Bivol should just stay away from that rematch with Canelo, because there's nothing to prove. He took Canelo to boxing school. He took him to school.
Yeah, so, for sure.
There's nothing to prove.
Right.
I think hardcore boxing fans would love to see Beterbiev Bivol. Casual fans, you know how casual fans are. But what are you going to do? It's a new era. It's a different era than the times when we grew up watching boxing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's definitely different. Definitely.
And I have to ask you, since the International Boxing Hall of Fame just announced their inductees, I have to ask you your thoughts on that.
Okay. Here's my thing. Now, apparently, I'm pretty sure this is accurate, that every year they have to induct a certain number of females, right? Like, no matter what, whether they're qualified or not. Now, my problem with that is this. Now, think about this the way I'm saying it. Like with Clarissa Shields, for example, they are saying she won 3 world titles quicker than any fighter in history. And I say no. She won 3 world titles quicker than any female in history, because you cannot compare her 3 world titles with Wilfred Benitez 3 titles and Sugar Ray Leonard's 3 titles and all these guys. It's not the same. They did not travel the same road. So if you're going to include that, then you have to include Hall of Fame. Everybody's the same. You can't say, oh, every year we have to put in 1 or 2 females. We have to. Even if they're not qualified, we have to put them in. No, you're a fighter just like everyone else, because you can't have both. You can't mandate that 2 females have to be inducted, but you also have the record for quickest road to 3 world titles among all boxers, because makes no sense. It's stupid. So I'm not a fan of that. You see, and women, the problem is some of the women are getting in with records that a man, no man, could ever get into the Hall of Fame with. Never, never. There's no chance. They could not have the same record and still get into the Hall of Fame. No chance. So it's different. It's almost like politics, like they're allowing easier access. It's supposed to be the Hall of Fame. It's not the Hall of Fame. It's called that, but it's not the Hall of Fame. It's the Hall of Greatness. It's Hall of Legends. It's the Hall of the Best. And if you're going to induct people just because you have to meet a quota, regardless of if they're qualified or not, that's stupid. Like, that's unbelievably stupid. So, and the fact that, say, Timothy Bradley, good fighter, nothing against Timothy. Timothy Bradley is in the Hall of Fame, and Marlon Starling is not even on the ballot. Marlon Starling's accomplishments completely eclipse Timothy Bradley's. 100%. The level of fighter he has beaten, the longevity that he had, the people he fought, and he's not even on the ballot. But Timothy Bradley, good fighter, but Timothy Bradley's in the Hall of Fame and Marlon Starling's not on the ballot. I don't think anyone at 147 would give Timothy a chance of beating Marlon Starling at 147. So we have a problem with the Hall of Fame. It's getting worse, and I'm not a fan. I don't like it. I've actually, as many times as you've seen me at the Hall of Fame, I go. I've never been in the Hall of Fame. I've never been in that room where all the stuff is. I've never been in there because I don't. I'm not interested. I actually don't want to be irritated by being in there and seeing people that do not have remotely comparable statistics and quality of opposition as Marlon Starling, and he's not even on the ballot. I'm not with that at all. I like going because of the people. I like to see the fans. It's cool seeing the people and friends and all that kind of stuff. But as far as the actual Hall of Fame and what they represent, I'm not a fan at all.
Well, I'm shocked to hear that you've never gone inside that museum.
Never been in.
Wow.
No.
But hey, speaking of the Hall of Fame, I didn't go for the last couple of years due to the lockdowns.
Yeah.
I wasn't there this year, but I'm just I'm sad to hear that Graciano's no longer around.
Yeah. It's horrible. They took down the hotel behind it. They took down the restaurant. And that's another reason why I was gonna go. I tried to go, but I was in training camp with Arthur during that last year, so I couldn't make it. But they've changed everything to the casino, and I don't know if they realize or I don't know if they care what they've done by taking Graziano's away, by tearing that down. I don't think they understand what that meant to the Hall of Fame and to the people that attended it. So now, I mean, I feel horrible just thinking about it. Obviously they're gonna have to find a place that to replace it the best they can, and I hope it's not at the casino. I hope we find a place in the town somewhere, a little dive bar or something. What they did by tearing Graziano's down is a huge blow to the weekend, and to me, quite honestly, the entire weekend for me was Graziano's. That was it. Like, hanging out there was the spot, and so I'm not a fan of what they've done.
Well, Graciano was a hangout place. It was a place to party, get together with everyone, and have a drink or two, or have a meal, and it was quite an experience for
Yeah.
those who never went. So it's unfortunate.
Yes,
So,
sir. It's horrible. Yeah.
and from what I heard, this year, some of the inductees were at the casino gambling and didn't interact with their fans. So I don't know what's happening there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. See, that's the thing. Like, Graziano's, You know how it was. You could walk in and, you know, Mickey Ward. You know, you could hang out with Aaron Pryor. You could dance. Girls could dance with Aaron Pryor and Leon Spinks. You know, you're gonna have a tough time finding a place to replace that.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. But speaking of the Hall of Fame, I gotta ask you, since we're speaking of the Hall of Fame, I gotta ask you about Hall of Famer Felix Tito Trinidad, who fought Fernando Vargas. Their anniversary just came up not too long ago. I believe it's 22 years since they fought.
Oh,
22
okay.
years. So I just want to get your thoughts on that fight. That's a fight that I'll never forget, and I think a lot of us still remember that war between both of those warriors.
Yeah. You know, great fight. You know, Vargas was right there, you know, banging away, huge heart. Um, you know, but Tito's Tito. I mean, you know, he was a nightmare. And, you know, you could have success with Tito, but other than Bernard Hopkins and Winky at the end of his career, I mean, you know, to sustain that, and especially, you know, at the lower weights. I mean, Tito's kind of like Camacho in that people remember him the second half of his career at a higher weight. They don't realize, like him at 147, people forget he even fought at 147. He was a killing machine at 147. He was devastated. And, you know, so I think one of your viewers is asking if they can ask questions.
Yeah, I would love to answer some of those questions. Unfortunately,
Well, tell them to type the question. Type it
yeah,
out. Type it out, and you can read it, and we can answer it.
yeah, I just don't have a lot of time right now.
Yeah.
I have another meeting to attend, but I'll continue this later on. But before I let you go, speaking of Felix Tito Trinidad, um, in regards to that fight, there's been a few that have brought this up, and it just gets me really upset, because there's been a few that have said that he loaded his gloves. What do you think of that? He loaded his gloves? Come on, man.
Well, here's
Come
the
on.
thing. I love Tito, but apparently they caught him that one time. Like when they went to check the wraps and they made him re-wrap. Something was amiss. I don't know if it was loaded or plaster Paris or it was just done wrong. I don't know what the issue was, but it was enough for them to make him do the wraps over, you know. So I'd have to read the story again, but I think it might have been the Trinidad fight. I mean, the Hopkins fight, I think, where Brother Nazim went in and he said, no, 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 you can't tape it like that. And they agreed. They said, no, you can't do that. You got to do it over. So I don't know. I never heard plaster of Paris. I never heard that. You know, I mean, I hate to think Tito or anybody would knowingly do something like that. Now, when you're talking Louis Resto and Panama Lewis, obviously that was clear. You know, that was an obvious. He had the thing hard as a rock. You know, and it took the hair out of the glove. So something like that. You know, I can't give a benefit of the doubt. It was obvious what you did, but you know, with Tito, I'd have to revisit it, read about it again. But uh, you know, you can't alter that. You have to do the wraps correctly. But his wraps were done correctly before the fight. They didn't actually go through with that fight. So what he did in other fights is strictly speculation on people's parts. You know, and they're just some people just speculate because you know they don't know, and they're just trying to create trouble. They think they know. Like all of a sudden they know everything because of one issue, and he must have done it then. He must have done it then. You can't slander a man without any kind of proof other than your opinion. So
Yeah,
that's it.
exactly. But from what I heard, others say that it wasn't his gloves were not loaded, his hand wraps were not loaded. It was just I think some kind of I don't know, like because they fought in that state of New York. There was some kind of rule there that he wasn't supposed to do what he did with his raps, but it was an actual plaster.
Right, right. Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyhow, it's crazy. It's crazy when I hear that kind of talk. It's like you can't accuse someone with, unless there's facts out there, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Billy Conn and Louis Resto.
Right. Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. But hey, John Scully, I gotta let you go. I got another meeting to attend, but we'll do this again later on tonight, if not another day, and we'll get some of our boxing fans here to ask questions. And I have another topic.
Right.
I have another topic that I gotta ask you about, and I'll leave it off. Um, I'll let you think about it. I'm sure you have a lot to say, and it's regarding the WBC putting out that video with ref um Carlos. I forgot
Padilla.
Padilla.
Padilla. Carlos
Uh,
Padilla.
um, Carlos Padilla on what he said about Manny Pacquiao. All right, so we'll talk about that
Right,
later.
right.
We'll talk about that later on because I know a lot of the boxing world is still buzzing about that.
Right, right. I got you. All
Yeah.
right, we'll talk about it.
All right, John Scully.
All right, buddy. Thank you.